Alright, simple words, selectors. And we said simple selectors select elements based on their what? Name, ID, and what? Class. Now let's take it one by one. By name. And I asked, what's the name of paragraph in HTML? P. So which means I'm going to select elements based on its what? Name. Right? And I know it's what? You declare a selector and you declare a what? Declaration block. So simple selector by name is like this. Okay, so we should use PID or DID.
B.
Let's go with P. It can be any any element. So let's go with P. Now, but before then, I will introduce an element, an HTML element now. It's time to introduce another element. And this element basically is placed inside the head tag, inside the head what? Element. Inside the head element. Remember we do something like this. Head, right? And we have our head here. Now, to make your HTML web page interpret your CSS, except when they're inline, when you now use attributes, style equals to, you understand? Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
That one is inline. Apart from using style as an attribute to import your CSS, if you want to declare it in block, you will use an attribute, an element known as what? Style. It should be inside your head. After the meta tags. After your meta tags, you come here, you have what? Style. You now have your closing tag, but it's an element. Style. Style. Inside the style is where you add your what? CSS code. Inside the style element is where you put your what? CSS code. So for CSS, we interpreted inside the HTML page. That I said the style is inside the head element. Does not mean you cannot put it inside the body. You can. After all, your inline is inside the body and it's working. Do you understand? The inline is inside the what? The body. Then, inside your style tag, inside your style element, using P as the example, we have our block and we have our closing block. Is that clear? Yeah. Do you understand this part? Look at the block very well.
Inside the style tag is local.
It's where you now put your CSS code. Inside the, sorry, what did I call the questions?
Inside the style tag is where
you put your CSS code or you write your CSS code. Is it clear? Do you understand that? Yes. Are you coming? If you want, you can start. You want to see something? After our break is 30 minutes. Am I going to come and call you? More for that. What they can see. You understand this part? You have to move forward.
Yeah.
Even I don't know that class music, you not think about that class. Because you're moving forward. Yes. Our break was supposed to end in 30 minutes. So I wonder what you're thinking now. You understand this part, right? You understand this part, right? Amalia, you understand this part, right? You understand this part, right? What do you understand it? Let's talk about this part. Just like so we should move forward.
No,
I'm not speaking with you, right? You know, you look, how about 130? And this is 1 word. 1/4. 15 minutes sleep. Forget 15 minutes. We said our selectors are categorized into five, right? And number 1 is what? Simple selector. And simple selector, I said what? The select element. The selector select what? Element. Based on what? Name. ID and class. Based on name, ID and what? Class. Now we'll take this one after the other. Name. 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 You can have multiple elements with the same name. After P, you will P5. Or P5 anyway. And another P. Yeah? Or the same name. Oh yeah, so it's the same name. And there are different elements with the same word, name. Not name as an attribute now. Name as the name of what? The element. But ID is unique to each word element as an attribute now. ID as an attribute, as an HTML attribute is unique to each element, but it's used to point to a particular word element. Now going with name first. I now said it is time to introduce a new element. It is time to introduce a new element known as what? Style. Because style is the element you put inside your HTML web page in order for it to interpret the HTML, the CSS code. For a HTML page, not exactly an HTML file, HTML web page. An HTML web page interprets what? HTML. HTML web page interprets what? HTML. So for you to write CSS inside your HTML page, because all HTML cover and you want to use CSS. But since CSS now go part of web development or web design, in the HTML, they have to introduce another element that you will use to import what? CSS. Now, if you want to import CSS inline inside the opening tag of an element, use attribute known as what? Style. And it's going to, that is inline, it's going to affect only that particular word element. Now, I remember when I was describing the selector and the integration box. I said the selector selects the word element. Now, for an HTML page to interpret CSS inline, use an attribute known as what? Style. For it to interpret it in a block format, you have to declare an element known as what? Style. Now, style as an element. to enable web page, interpret your CSS code. Style as an attribute to enable your HTML, interpret your CSS code in line. This one now is a block. The one is what? In line. So when you're doing your CSS in line, use an attribute known as what? Style. But when you want to declare it in a block format, use your style element. So once CSS sees style, all my elements in the image style to CSS code. Do you get that? HTML, when you put P like this, you are there with content, right? Yes. Once HTML fully or whatever, you're going to in paragraph, right? Yes. This element is called what? Paragraph. Now, there is another element known as what? Style. The CSS is used to do what? Style. So most of that style, if I remember the style, you talk about CSS. Now, HTML does not have an element known as what? Style. But because it needs to import CSS, it needs to do what? Import CSS into it. It now introduced an element known as what? Style. To enable it import what? CSS. So this style is just a tag used to import what? CSS into HTML web page. So once I declare my opening tag and my closing tag, anything other than never boost CSS code. Not like this one, you don't know about the content. But inside your style, you already need CSS code. Just like your style attributes, anybody might be your style attribute to CSS code. What is your style attribute now? Allow to import what? CSS in line. And what is your style element now? Allow to import CSS in block. I don't know if I'm clear. Yeah? Should I say explain? Do you understand what I just said? In the shop. In the shop. Now, you should remember that when we are teaching our HTML, we said we have our head and our body, right? Yes. Good. And I said, mainly, you declare your CSS, your style, inside the head element. This is your head. Leave the head. It's again style. Opening and closing tag. And you should always do that after your meta tags. After your meta tags, here's again style as an element. The chair. Any other thing that you near that is read as CSS code. So long as not style like you use. Because anything that has to do with style has to do with what? CSS. That's what?
We commented that we should always use style elements after the meta element.
And this meta element, meta tags.
Meta tag. What if we write it before meta tag?
You try it works for you. There are rules. You understand? At times, we prepare one thing or another with a link. Then we work this in where ID. Meta tag or one or two things there. Only could affect that particular element because no one ID in there. So because meta tag is used for identification. Remember, this is a structured language. If you have this structure, they got plan of man. It's just like asking me why if I'm not there and I'm delaying on them. One or two will always delay. How many things we always still talk? It will still talk. But make a structure here. What common order now? It's a standard, it's a structure. Go and label on the name wherever. We call us to change church as somebody put on here or see your bag in. Yes, that is just that is the explanation. So if you like you poor, we don't have an album. Or something that I have a lot of no. You understand? So to avoid it, taking a symbol. You see all to aside that. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because now somebody back and you like and is very sensitive. So, and Brahma that not in your face, do a better type, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to arrange it accordingly. To avoid maybe one or two things in there. That does not mean you will only hear that. But one day we still talk. We will still talk now because it's usually called that. But what if we are using all those somebody to time or buy an animal who says you get my description? So it is recommended that you put it after your mental fast. Good. Now that I said that style is being declared before the closing tag of head does not mean you cannot include it inside your body. You can still put it inside your body so long as you declare your style. So which means I can come inside my body. This is recommendation. That does not mean it's not going to work here. Here. Style. Style. Anything written inside this style is CSS what? Code. Nothing else. What does HTML? What do you use style as an element and then I've got import giving CSS. And what does the style then as an attribute, not got import giving CSS. So whether style as an attribute or style as an element is used to do what? Import CSS. The difference is that style as an attribute is used to import CSS in line, while this one is used to declare it in a block format. Very simple. Exactly. Now, why I said you can still bring it inside your body. After all, when you declare your P, then you declare your P inside the body, right? And you put your style as attributes equals to your CSS. I'm not going to the body code. Another role. So it can be anywhere. You understand? Just as recommendation says it should be here. Maybe for other units, for bills to be organized. That does not mean if it's inside the body it will not work. It will still work. In fact, if you tell me you like it will work. It will work. We will try it when we start practicalizing. So just so that your style elements is used to do what? Import CSS in block format. While style as an attribute is used to personalize the import CSS into a particular word element in line in a particular element. Use that in block. In line, in block. Any question? Any question? Are you sure? So far, so this is very clear. More question? Let's continue. So now, since you're not doing CSS, any code I'm writing in CSS, I have to write it inside the what? Inside the what? Style elements. Right? Up here? Since not in the style elements in the CSS, you can't just start writing it inside the body. HTML will come out as normal content. So to tell the web browser, you can get code or text or code or just organic content. And about code or CSS code, interpret CSS, you must do what? Declare your style what? Elements. That was the type here. So once open and close up, I'm going to everything inside CSS. That is the rule. And that is the structure, that is the standard. There's no two ways about it. This is it. Having understand that, everything we're now doing goes inside the word style. Remember, we are coming to what? Name. And we said the name Every element has its own what? Name. Your paragraph name is what? P. So let me write, if I want all the P in my HTML web page to be red color, this is what I will do. I'll come here, style. Okay? Then I'm going to select my element by what? Name. By what? Name. I'll now use the name as a selector. Since we are using paragraph, it will be what? P. I've selected it with my name now, which is what? Paragraph P. Then my block goes like this. Text, align, center, text, color, red, background, color, blue, I'll not use. So that is a straight line. We still work. You chop one, text align, center. When we can then pull it back. First color, red, background color, blue, close wherever. Doesn't matter.
So background color only usually like TS or BG color.
You may have not one of the it will work. Shall we try digital and it works, right? Yes. Now inline. It will work. If you have a background color, you try if it works, it works. I'm going to use the digital. I'm going to use the background color.
Background color now.
What I look on is working. Now you will learn your properties. See about all your properties and your values. It is all your elements. All your attributes. You don't know all the attributes, but the major attributes. All from knowing the basic attributes. And now advance it. Now for more attributes. Now in a work now for more attributes. We talk about the one and card. In the CSS, it exposes you to more properties and properties what? Values. You understand? As I said, practice makes what? Perfect. More practices. So this one is basic, entry level. And this is the primary school. A is for Apple. I can remember now. Because I will draw 2 letter words from 2 letter words, 3 letter words, from 2 letter words to 4 letter words, 5 letter words. From there, what the sentences. What can I say here? So here, what next? Selecting, simple selector, selecting by what? Name. So this is the name. This is the selector. So this is the name of the element. And this is the declarations of what? Of the selector. So with this, any element bearing the name P, we have the text aligned to what? Center. Every element that has the name what? P. So I'm not selecting by what? Name. I'm not selecting by what? Name. Good. So the next thing is to do what? Close my file element. I can put as many names that I want. I have P. I can still put others. I can still close this one and open another one again, style. I'll use UL. Choose UL, Abi. UL. Then I close my style. it will execute this. Everyone off with this name, UL, it will do what? Execute this. I can even decide to use one element to write all of them by clicking this one. I'm closing it here. So my style starts here and close here. So I can decide to open here, write one, close here, open another one. You know, everyone also style, all of them CSS. Doesn't matter how many elements, CSS elements in it. Even if you like open 1 million CSS elements, so long as that's your code inside the element, you do what? Execute it as a CSS code. Good. Very clear. Is it confusing? Not at your phone. Okay. Any questions so far? So this is just selecting by what? Name. The only issue with this is that all, what did I say? All the elements with this name. Element don't answer P. Because if I have P, elements will have 3. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. There are 3 elements. Getting the same word, name, and the name is what? P. So any element on after P must obey this declaration. No exemption. The one of the not so, will order. The one of the other Apollo. So long as the forgivable notes, you will be able to be applauded. You understand? You understand the meaning now? You understand the meaning? Alright. Let's proceed. Are you sleeping? Come and clean your body. Cap number 1, name, under simple selector. When you're changing my selector, the child doesn't have to select it. That one, and then move them over. Any question? You stand up, come and sit here. I'm not forgetting. Stand up. Come and sit here. So we now understand the simple selector, right? We now know what our selector is. I'm going to do selector, right? And we now know the category of selectors, right? And we now deal with what? Simple selectors, and I say it is what? Based on the what? Name, ID, and what? Class. And now we see how to identify this by name. Okay? Now let's talk about the ID part. When you start to look, we are the one. I'm not coming to the area. Amen. Jude 4:7. The CSS ID selector. You see the one here, also 2:5. The CSS ID selector. Should I proceed? The ID selector uses the ID attribute. When I talk of attribute, I'm not talking of HTML, right? The ID selector, because someone had a attribute. You must see the ID attribute, use the attribute. If you're here, confused. Which of the attribute are you not talking about? So I get the layer after the language. That's the selector I can. So that's the property. Okay? Declaration. Alright. The ID selector uses the ID attribute. Use the word ID attributes. In other words, P. My attribute will be what? My attribute will be what? So my ID, my attribute will be P. Who is laughing with you? Stand up. I'm talking, you are laughing. You are making mistake, and I'm asking you, you are laughing at yourself. And I'm asking your podcast somebody else. You think you are ready? The P is your element's name, right? And I said the ID selector uses the ID what? Attributes. So which attribute am I going to put here? ID as an attribute. In which element? ID. The false name. Okay. Let's continue. The ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. To select what? A specific element. In other words, one particular element. One particular element. Remember we said in our HTML elements, we have what? ID as an attribute. We also have class as an attribute. And I say ID defines the particular ID of that particular word element. So if this P is intro, the ID will be what? Intro. I'm using it as an example. You can name it anything you want to do. Intro. And this is hello. And that is my P. I have another one here. P. I have world. Are you seeing it? See this, right? If I do this, spy, P, text, align, center. This hello will be at the center. This word will be at the center. Because all of them are what? P. Now, what if I don't want this hello to be in the center? Remember, P. All of everything answering P will move to what? Center. But now, since every P has moved to the center, I want this particular one to move to the right. You get it? P. Every paragraph must do what? Go to where? Center. But I want this particular one, just like the question you were asking me then. But this one now is just for one. After we do for multiple. for one, only this one. To move to the left, only this one. I'm going to target this particular one using what? ID. Because this one has an ID. You understand? So, how do I do that? Introduce what? It's just a name I gave it and that is ID. I don't give it an ID. Well, I need ID 1001. Oh, go and laugh at the ID, it's not going to identify each element one after the other. So I'm going to assign an ID, which is the name of the value of the ID. All here by that way, you understand? What is constant is ID equals to this. The value is now you have to specify the name. You want that person. Just like you have an ID in your school. Maybe your school is St. High School, which is SAPHSNS/05/220. That is your unique word, ID. Somebody in SOSO will still answer SASPPSN/ or maybe SOSO/. You get it? So, at the end of the day, your ID is still unique, even if your name is Samsung/whatever/001. You just /whatever/001. Phone number 001. Now, only cars is same country, but the IDs are not the same. You can get Samsung, you have Susu, or you get it? So, ID are unique to one particular word element. So, I have a Munka, but I have ID, not name. I have an attribute, don't have an attribute as name. That one is different. But in this case, this name is for this name. This name is for anything answering P. That is because this is the selector. So it's not selecting any element known as what? P as the name. But if I want to target a particular P, then I will now give that P an ID. You understand? Just like if I want this, since this one, we align all the text to the center, but I want only this one to align to the right. I can come here and put style, text align, right. You understand? Yes. Are you sleeping? Yes. Okay. If I add here, if I don't use ID, I don't use it in block, I can use inline. I can just come here and create this ID, just write my style equals to text align right. We put the text because you put this one. Right. Thereby disobeying this one because no one will directly order. Just like I was explaining, I said, I'm not going to you blue, but only as you know, everybody will lay banner center, right? But I'm more than a class, I'll be the main person, no, you see, the other, in Simba, no one you read, never tell that. If they put in you cross one door path, you can red. Because after getting from this class particularly, they give me red. Any other class doesn't give me blue. Just like I give you pink. This is a class of how you give me pink. But I give up not going to blue. You understand the difference? So even if I come here and I put style equals to text align right, this particular element will now disobey this and obey the direct instruction given to it directly. But if I don't put that, it will do what? Obey this. Now, if I declare it in block and I want to apply, I don't want to use style as an attribute. I want to use ID now as an attribute. Then I'll now write the style, whatever, here. I'll now use my words, ID. CSS words, ID. Don't want to understand. And this one, of course, I won't get confused.
You said you want to align this into that place to the right. You will see, like, you use the style element, the parameters aligned, right?
First, introduce it to
You introduce it after that ID. After that.
just introduce the element as inside we use element to introduce style inside an element. Okay. I said you use style attributes. I didn't say you use style element. In style, it was okay, one of those is not mistake. Now I said the ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML element to select what? A specific element. When I change the topic to I have to go for it. I'm not going to reply. What happened? Oh, my boy, you always understand. Sit down. Now, the ID of an element, I've said that before, I'm saying it again. The ID of an element is unique. Is what? Unique within a web, sorry, within a page, or within a web page. The ID of an element is unique within a web page, comma, so the ID selector is used to select one unique element. One unique element. Are you going to do that up again? Yeah? Alright. I said the ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. And now explain further. I said the ID of an element is unique within a web page. Within a web page. So which means I can have intro in this page as an ID of a particular element. I can still have intro as an ID in another web page. In your index, you can only have one ID intro in your index. You can have another ID as intro in your index. But in your other page, like about us, you can have another ID there. That was a separate page on the screen. You understand? But that's because you cannot be the same page at the same time. Oh, okay, now. It's not okay now. So why bring that one? The ID is only on that particular page. What page just put the ID, the same ID on that page. But the same ID. But the one element cannot be the same ID in one web page. That's what I'm saying. 001. You can be 001 in this class. You cannot have 2001 in this one. You can have 1001 in this class, right? You cannot have another 1001 in this class. Can be in a class and God look where 1001 there. You can't put any class here. Another class in Ghana, 1001 will give you 1001. The next person will give you 1002. So the ID are unique in a particular web page. You understand? Because we can register attendance sign at S1. And we know number one, we know number two. What time is number one? And it's not SS2B. Oh, that's number one. So I did that page. I did that page. What time of the same ID? But multiple elements can have the same word name. Like you have multiple things in your web page. That's like you can have two and two in this class. Okay. The ID selector uses the ID attribute of an HTML element to select a specific element. Then I want to explain that the ID of an element is unique within a web page. So the ID selector is used to select one unique element in a web page. Now, to select an element with a specific ID. To select an element, how about you select an element with an ID? Because we're only ID. So to select an element with an ID, we use the hash character, or the one you call hashtag. Hash character, hash. What is hash?
Yes.
Hashtag. Okay? Hashtag. Or hash character. Social media with a hashtag. Hash character. So every field will be an apply. This social media will be a hashtag. This social media as a hashtag. It's a hashtag, so we can say a tag here. But the next thing we can tag in the other. Social media as a tag, I didn't know to our face. We can tag here. We use the hashtag. That even make it easier. When you want to mention Soludo on your social media, it's the hashtag, yes, Soludo. But you know, that page Soludo is good. Other Soludo. But you also so use the hashtag to identify the word Soludo. I'll make a comment. Please look into this case. Hashtag Soludo. Okay? What can I say here? Sit up. You know, at a sitting position, you can mean this. You're learning how. What is the name? Get out. Where is the sign? You must think, right? You must think. You honest. You must think. Stand up. Pay attention. Listen. This is basic. These are basic class. Don't worry, I know. If you introduce what something new. Oh my God. What did I say? Come on. And I have one product after the even if there is light, I have to finish the first half. What are you going to do? Just by email, you already did it in your inline district now. So we need to start elaborating it gradually, one after the other. So now, just like I said, in your social media, if you want to target a particular person, use what the hash tag. If the hash, it's in there after the person. Let's say our government hashtag Soludo. You just trigger something that somebody mentioned your name somewhere, right? And he said you should do this. So the same way, we use hashtag in CSS to target a particular HTML element what? ID. So define an ID in CSS, we use what? Hashtag. So now, with this being said, remember, this one is going to make the two of them do what? Align to what? Center. Despite the fact I have an ID here. Because I did not define the ID anywhere here. So, how is it going to move? We're going to say more. Now, but if I write something like this, using a selector, hash, intro, hash, intro. I'm not telling the CSS. Go and look for every element after beginning intro. Go to any element, ID beginning intro. This one says go to any element after beginning paragraph. This one says Go to any element that has an ID as what? Intro. I'll not put my braces. Test. Align. Right. You know what is going to happen here? First of all of them will do what? Align what? Center. Now I have pointed to an ID. Automatically, this particular one being ID into rotate this one, and the test will align to what? Right. You see that? This is what? Main. Element what? Main. This is element what? ID. Hash. Hash. Hashtag. Hash. What do you know? As I said, those are just for here comes somebody simple selector. You go to the soon and do it. I think after it becomes next for 0 and power. Do you understand this part? So far, before you have one way look at the board and tell me if you understand it, or if I should explain further. Okay. I brought the reading. Tech. That's source of you. How much you go down? When I was saying I would do CSM, so I would have to introduce. I will know it from you. Because if you went for a break, you know that time. You don't package them now. Why are you there? Huh? I should do breakfast. I should explain for that. Alright. We have to we're out there. Huh? Because I feel kind of confusing. Natalia? Very clear. Afford me. Natalia? Very well. Natalia? Come on. Give me a positive idea. You have one. Eh? You got Azul. What you will see? Don't worry, I know what I'm wondering. It's like make them with elements, with attributes and values. Like how to add colors. Oh, here. Now, for those of you that say to understand, if I still want this one to move to right, and I do not do this, what would I do? Thank you. Use style attributes. In line. Eh? I said, you need to understand it. But if you understand this one, understanding others will be easy. Once you're able to understand how to use name to target the name of the element, look at the definition. It says simple words, selector. Use what? Name, class, ID and class to do what? Select a particular word, element. Name is used to select the name of what? The element. ID is used to select the ID of an element. Class is used to select elements in the same class. All of us are in the same class. If somebody walks in here now and say, yeah, ICT lab, run out, who is he talking to? All of us, no particular person. Because we're in the same what? Class. Where are you? I'm in ICT lab. Where are you? I'm in ICT lab. Which class are you? I'm in JS1. Everybody in JS1, stand up. All the JS1 boys will do what? All the JS1 will do what? Stand up. Then, remember when I was saying, I said direct relationship. I can say all JS1 boys, stand up. Relative. All JS1 girls, stand up. But when I say all JS1, stand up, it means everybody in this what? Class. I looking at all JS1, stand up, very closable, boys stand up and girls stand up. Until I say boys sit and let girls stand up. I know that everybody stand up. If I say, can I teach that class comes in? But if I walk into this class and I said 1001, stand up. I'm going to go now. Only 101, when I was 1001. I'm going to give you a pull out. Do you understand that? Good. But this one is used to select elements by what? Name. And many people can be actually the same name. Nonso, Ulota, and we have 5 Nonso in this class. How many Nonso will stand up? 5. Name. Nonso stand up. If you have 5 Nonso in this class, all the 5 Nonsos will do what? Stand up. Name. If I come in this class and I say 1001, stand up, only one person will stand up, right? Because only one person has one ID. But if I come and say, yeah, JSS1, stand up, everybody will do what? Stand up. That is just as simple as that. Just as simple as that. Name, ID, class. All that used to do was select what? Elements based on what? Name, ID, and what? Class. P. Once I put only P, selector here, any declaration inside this box is going to affect everybody answering what? P. And I use intro. Intro is an element now. Listing. What is this? Not paragraph. It's a selector. It's an ID, not an element name. I know this thing is different from this thing. This is a paragraph. This is just an ID, just a name. Or an ID just a value. I can name it anything I want. But this one wants to be P because the name of the element is what? P. But this one is not paragraph. This is an ID of a particular what? Element. This is an ID of a particular element. But this one is what? The name of a what? A name of an element or all the elements. But this one is not name of an element. This is a unique ID. So if I'm using P, I'll fill here and write what? P. So once it sees this hash, go and look for the person. Just like I said, hashtag Soludo. Once you see this hash, what I'm trying to say, go to this web page. Go and look for any element after you have given P. Just want to have an ID as what? P. Or there's a trouble element in the trouble the ID. Everyone often ID P. Right. Don't worry, I got it. Okay, now we'll join at this stage. Even more wood to do one now. Until I got to this stage. Any question? you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? If you don't understand, raise up your hand now. Do you understand? I know I'm asking you to understand. Because even from your face, I know you don't understand. If I look at your face, I know it's still a bit confusing. Yes.
Closing tag. There's these current places. Now current places are then it is selector, selector. I need people
on one or two, I guess, yeah, this is the it should be going to do similar question for when you ask me to use the value you have quotes. Do similar quotes. So I guess, yeah, one or two, yeah, this is how it's done. On one of once off on a key, on one paragraph, upon a paragraph, you can make no element teacher, no ID, one in the affair. Because this is name, this is an element's name. Selecting an element based on what? The name. Here hash. Of the selecting an element based on its what? ID. An ID is unique to one what? Element. Ask your question. Now what happened? If you want to do what? This one. This one. I didn't get your question from what was good? You did so. Now let us shout to her. All time I'm about hey, pass ya. Hey, my. Don't do no question. Don't do no more. Yeah, be up to 11. Good. Number 6. Yes. Then, how can you try to ID? Because we thought as soon as getting number 6 have one card. If you can see hash. Or what you want to ID can make here. Often a hash, I'm going to look at ID. Open the word hash, not just yeah, there. I'm going to paragraph. What if I do like this? Sand. What will happen? Which element will change? Yes. Which element will change? Say something before we move. Tell me what to do. Sit down. Tell us, say something. Which element will it change? Stand up. Yes. Which element will it change? Not shouting. Very much more. I asked you what to do, you say. Or someone the first said. Where was the car? Come on, which hand you change the element. Which element you change the element? Can the passion of the video? Where was that shot? That's not any change. I know, I'm on the in and out, I'm on the video. I'm not doing it. Which element will be changed? Name element. Which name element? The name of the element is what? P. No, here now, there is no P. You have to go P. There is some. So which element is it going to change? I said, CSS must have element in what element is that sum? So what it is either or what are you so want to program one element not sound. Except that it harsh that. What are the people who dey job the idea booking sound. No, I know I'm doing this just to get it to enter. Want it to enter. But what elements you what is it? Okay, you want to HTML, I can't even HTML, HTML can be simple. I can apply CSS too. I'm going to delete it. Yes, I understand that learning. So what do you change here? Because no element known as what? Sound. Now if I do like this, div. If you change all the words, div, because there's an element name known as what? Div. What if I put diva? Which element will you change? No. What if I want it to change this particular element? I want this diva. Diva, text, align, center. I want it to change this element, this one now. What will I do? Where? Here.
In the opening tab.
Here.
Yes.
ID equals to what?
Diva. ID equals to diva.
Diva. And I'll do what? Is that correct?
No. Do
Do
not put your hashtag.
Thank you. That's what to do. Do not put the hashtag. Because it's no longer an element, it's now an what? ID. I'm going to target what? This ID. So offer a hashtag before any name, or ID. Offer not for a hashtag, or the name of the what? Element. If the name of the element is invalid, so it's not going to do any what? Then to just be there occupying your space until you specify a valid element what? Name. But once it begins with hash, or ID, are you understand what I'm saying? You are not. But I don't know that. You might be able to say, yes. You are the one. You are the key word. We have anger management. You are even a real man to watch. I won't be angry. Even in my anger, not I'm doing. Yes. Can you organize it in I'll take a break. You know where I want also to go, I give you more. Anger management alone and that. You will wallow in jeopardy. But we take it some one in school. The governor, I said, it was all of work on your house. By what you put the pussy on the friend that I say, what they so I can't even more happy at the good. More than what to never as they want to say, but then more that anger, what's really more better. So anger management, I knew I did. Even if I'm angry, what I'm doing. All right, it's a course. You can read it. You can study it. Anger management. Yes, I'm not there. I brought a course. I brought BSc. It's a course that I'm more just like I'm learning this as a course now. I was in there. Oh, so I accuse that. Anger management. Who's about public speaking? Science.
Is it like
Get over public speaking. So you all public here. Okay, because I have one you know. I don't have no rule. It's public, you cannot speak to the public. This is your number of people never. Have you asked yourself why I can stand here for like 5 to 6 hours still talking and everybody's listening to me and nobody's weak? If you want to get weak, you know how to raise your spirit. You learn it in public speaking. I can keep you at the edge of your chair for complete 24 hours without you sleeping, without even being tired. Even if you're tired, I will raise you again. Even if you're tired, I will raise you again. And I pray. It is being studied and learned. Yes, I can wear. You don't come to me through the window, come through the door. Good afternoon. What you tell like? You have to pray. Every the five before. That's what you got to say. You got to do before. You have money, okay? College is good. Who is your student? Anyone that give you a letter? Which of the students? Money. Who is your student? Which school? School college. What happened? Who are you supervising? What is his name? You need to hurry up because this is a class. Alright. If you get the name, you come back. You understand? That was enough to keep you standing. So I was. But it's better for you to listen to what I say. I come on the girls' school, so you can one use. Okay. Who is it? The strategic joke. Okay, stand up. Who else? Only him. You see in your class? He's the only one from Susu. Is that you the only one from Susu's class? No.
I don't think. Well,
okay, you're the one who okay.
Yes.
You are assigned to me.
Yes.
Alright. So what do you want?
I just know how it's working
Okay.
so far.
Okay. And you want to know from me or from him?
From him.
From him. By your answer, how have you been so far? Why are you all laughing? So I don't want you to leave my class. Let him stand there and answer. It's not
No,
to
he's not going to.
all right. If you listen to our conversation, we will also pay for learning. All right. No distraction. So where are we? Here you go. You get one more. Come and stand. Public speaking. Okay, Chico, public speaking. It was like if you look at that one, now more because it's part of the game. You know that? You don't know. I'm on the I need to change my pattern, change the topic. I probably look at the mobile moon on. Look at the moon. I'm asking. Oh yeah, I want to do one. I don't know if you have that proverb before. When I'm going to do land at bed. Oh, well, yeah, before no, you're like, go to this bed, I cannot down for where you also. But now, what you understand? That's not how I know I can go on at the end. I was going to put it in. Go ahead, we can help me. So if you it's part of the business, part of the game, to make you lively. Yes, now, it's been taught in public speaking. It's not the good way. You guys, that will say also the software, then we come back to it. It's part of it. So if you want to learn public speaking, you come out, teach you public speaking. Yes. Like if I want to sleep. If I want someone to sleep, I know what to do. You want to sleep, right? Sit up. Sit up. I know you're not sleeping. I said you should come and stand here. So what about? Let us be open. How to make a guy? Apple, yeah. Leave that. Come and don't touch that trouser. Pull it back. What about?
No, no.
So where is your belt? Come for it. Come for it. How do you know that I don't give belt? Come for it. I want to say here example, not sagging in my class. You don't do sagging in my class. So I can first. You belt, you put which one? Because we can put the belt. But you didn't. Afro, yeah. But yeah, of course,
So,
we
so come on, like, you tell us.
that's why I'm going behind the camera. Don't do sagging in my class.
Some people are saying, where you go?
You came with the belts.
Sir,
I know most of you are ready for you. It will not work. Go and look for something genuine. Go and join cyber security. Join cyber security instead of joining Yahoo. And you will just go and I am so you. Let's go now, guy, man. Let's do it. This one now, Sam, never since. So you can see if I come to go with Yahoo or not. Oh, yeah. Outside, don't have life. I don't simply don't say that I like you. All right, let's move forward. Stand there. That's what I'm doing. Because I know if I ask you a question, then you don't understand. Will you understand? If I ask you a question, I will answer. Yeah, like, don't use like again. Make a simple sentence without putting like. In English, I don't want to get that like again. For every like governor, one stroke of pen. You must learn how to make a complete sentence. Which one is like, so like now, like if you ask me now, you know, like if I'm answering the question, like what am I supposed to mean? So like in one sentence you have 50 likes. Yes, it's not make a point. Yes, it's not make a what? A point. And you're in my class. And you're in this class. It's not going to work. By the time you leave this class and go back to your various schools and your various classes, there must be changes. And you say, I don't know my age. I know we're going to do something. Yes. Isn't it? I don't like the other. So make a sentence without putting a life. All right, thank you. Be audible. And for every like of you, one's true. So make a sentence. You need to start practicing it.
So I don't like to ask them questions.
You say? Come on, boy. Okay, crown or cat, crown. Also, as I say, I wasn't joking. What are you about?
Like,
no. Alright, it's fine. It's fine. Let's focus on the board now. Sit up. Sit up. Let's focus on the board. You understand this now, right? Do you understand this part? So, hash, before any name here means what? Yeah? They're like kids in a class.
I don't.
Huh? Well, I've eaten the money. No refund of money after payment. Yes. Is that like kids in a class? More boss.
So, I'll more.
Give them more guy. You've not been any point since you are standing here. You just play what will you. Okay, continue. Then say now, so what you want to say that I'm not stopping you. So long as you're not adding like to it. So this is hash name. The name of the that is hash ID. This hash means it is what? ID. So any element with diva, even if it is div. So long as there's hash in front of it, this is no longer the name of an element. This is now an ID of an element. What can you put on the brain now? Okay, stand up.
It's zero hash, yeah. It's also GID. I'm going to teach you a small difference. So
I'm going to your hash.
it is also GID.
What is div?
Like,
div is an element, right? And I said CSS knows all your elements, A to Z. How much I need? You understand? So once you write div, you're going to go into my web page and select any element known as what? Div. You understand? Or the other div. Here we don't have div. But once there is a div here. This text align center, you do what? Align center inside this what? div. And even if here I have div as an ID, will it affect this one?
No. No. No.
I have div here, and I say text align center. Will it affect this div?
Yes.
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 Who say, if you say yes, raise up your hand. If you say no, raise up your hand. Only the two of you. You say it's this one, is it going to affect this div? No. Why?
Because it is not, it is an ID.
Which one is an ID? Hello? Now pay attention, two of you, pay attention. This is your selection. This is a declaration of law. I don't understand this one. This is where you're having the confusion. I know this is where the confusion is. Remember we said you select elements from either by the name of the element. By what? The name of the element. This is the name of an element. Why? How? What makes it a name? Or what makes it a name? We said select to identify by what? Name. And I'm not asking you, what is this? Is this a name?
Yes, an element name.
An element name. So we are selecting elements based on what? Name. So this is an element what? Name. There's an element known as what? div. What if I write divy? Is there any element that divy? So is it going to affect any element? No. If I change the y, only div. Is it going to affect an element?
Yes.
Because this is an element what? So which element is going to affect? How many div? All the div. Any element of an with div, you obey this. In other words, this one, you obey it. Because this is what? div. Even if I have 100 divs, all the divs will do what? Obey this. But one had asked me, what if you want to target a particular, okay, you said more than one. Now, if you want to target a particular element, this one is the name of an element, right?
Yes.
What if I put hash? Is this a name of an element?
No.
It's no longer a name of an element.
Yes.
It's now an ID of an element. And the ID of that element is what? div. So which element will be affected here?
P.
This P. Because it has hash now. It's no longer an element and it's now an ID. So it's no longer going to affect this one. Because this is no longer a name. This is now an what? ID because there is hash there. So the one is going to affect is any element come off of the ID. What if I have P ID div? How many elements will it affect? Huh? How many elements will it affect you? How many elements will it affect? How many elements will it affect? How many? 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 You, how many? 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 Hmm? How many? How many? Sit down. How many affect? IDs are unique to one particular word. Element. You understand? If your answer is wrong, it is going to affect only this one, not listening to this one. There are 1001 there. All in the model one has 1001. The first person comes up on because for ID is one person. So I will take only the first one. It ignore the others. Once other guy is sequence one or another, I'll find the first one. Because not ID. The system assumes not familiar. The word doesn't answer. So we're going to run the last year, car was having now, what do we know? Once you know the first person after the ID, because ID is unique. So once it is, since ID is unique, we need to run the first person. It assumes the ways you know, because what an ID. What about it? Even you as the writer, why would you even have one, more than one element having the same? Why would you have other elements having the same ID? You understand? It will only affect the first one, it's not the second one. Also, that will be 20. Once you pick the first one, also an ID. It is structured. So once it sees this ID, it will assume you have to go near and because even the web browser knows that ID is unique to what? One person. So no matter how they email ID and that should not mistake. Once you go to the first person, it will ignore others. You get the point? Condition. Keep your head up. Good. Italia? You understand it? Are you sure? How about you? Do you have a question? Do you have any question? You are allowed to believe you have a question. I know you have. Italia? Do you understand it? Are you sure? No. Elements, IDs are used to identify one element. So which means two elements cannot have the same ID. So whenever you declare this ID now, or the other ID as what? DID. Once software the first person, it will assume, because normally ID goes to phone and where. So why would I be looking for that when I know that math going and anywhere ID 101? What's the waste of time? So Mbateba now see the job on 101. Mbateba follow news, but now. But that's in the 101 must cast for not giving he was taking 102, no not 101, whatever they now. Because two IDs can have the same ID, two elements can have the same ID. But they can have the same name, or they can be in the same class, but they cannot have the same what? ID. So if you specify multiple ID in an element, if you only pick the first one and ignore the rest, assuming you are ever called. Ask your question.
But now, you have to add it to green cup, but as in the background cup, you need to green
Good. Body is an what? Element. Is body not an element? Body is an element. If you want to make my body, all the text in my body to be centered, I'll just clean this one and put the element in which is what? Body. So if I want my body to have background color red, I will do my body here, background color. And my body with background color. Any element or all my elements is maybe now. But you cannot make head red because after when after head, it cannot be displayed. Also, you need the body and other body elements. God can move affect. You understand? Because that is what the person that is looking at the system will see. So if the body and the body element, that's the content inside the body. So if you make head that it will not work. Because what even when we will not put the head in. So at that head and then you make HTML, it will not work. But body will work. From body and everything in the body, just specify the elements here. Do your declaration and it will obey. Further questions? Ask a question.
I don't know whether this question is
Ask.
you know, as we have HTML, you can import CSS.
No, listen to his question first. Listen to his question. Listen to his question. Listen to his question. Very important. Listen to his question. Ask. Understand what, please. Sit down. Why are you moving around? What do you think I do now? You can't make help you. Yes, a question. Go ahead.
Okay, so we can import a CSS into HTML. So if you have to import the HTML attributes, it can look like
If you are to import HTML attributes,
into CSS.
explain the question appropriately.
Okay, we can import the CSS element into HTML. I'm taking for instance that style.
Okay, style.
This style.
Use style as an HTML element
To import CSS.
into an HTML page.
Yeah, how can we do likewise for HTML CSS?
No, you don't use HTML to modify CSS. You use CSS to modify HTML. You understand? You don't use your body to make up your lipstick. Use your lipstick to make up your body. The HTML is the foundation. You understand? So CSS is just like lipstick, eye gloves, face cap, e.g. one. You understand? I can beautify myself with my face cap. I cannot beautify my face cap with myself. Just know it will not work. Eh? Do you understand that? Do you understand? CSS is a styling sheet used to style HTML elements or HTML web page. You don't use HTML to style CSS. Right? You use CSS to style what? HTML. So if CSS is just like lipstick, eye pencil, a shoe, aqua, a scarf, bangle, chain. If there's a U as the element, you one. You tell them to chocolate one in your necklace. So we add the more in your earrings. You go come and cool car, you wear powder, You chosen guy who's the highest, you live on go shirt, those things more important. Or CSS, but you cannot use your body to design your makeup. Right? Use your makeup to design your body. So that is how it is. CSS is used to style HTML elements or HTML web pages. You don't use HTML to style CSS. What is your one style HTML? Like I said, HTML is not a complete language. So CSS is there to do what? Complement this. When you are born, you are not born with makeup. But you want to be more beautiful. You not start adding makeup. Adding lipstick and the rest. And your lip gloss. So is this clear? If you understand this, understanding class will be very simple. Because class is just as you just usually use hip hop. Where the other one is hash, class is pop. Don't worry, we're in class. Everybody in class. I have to this one. Don't ask question. Ask question. Feel free. It's your class. Okay, I thought you said you want to ask question. So don't feel like maybe. You ask me one question. Now, why? Alright, go to your seat. I was going to sit that belt. If I see you walking like this again in my class, I'll sit that belt. I'll put your trouser complete. But I'm going to get the belt. Which one is that one? You need to appear smart. Nothing like that. You better focus on what you are doing here. I've taken the money away from all bonus. The fact comes from all bonus. So don't refund the money after payment. So if you like, you pay attention. If you like, you play away and wind away your time. I'll do my. Your parents have done their part by paying for you. I'm doing my part now to make sure that you learn. So the learning now depends on you. You understand? If you want to cover your ears, if you want to learn, but you must learn. You must learn. If you want to learn, I'll teach you. You must learn. How much are you hearing? There is a rules in naming. There is rules and regulations in naming, but maybe I'll talk that one later. Now listen, already this one must be what? This one must be a valid name of an element. It's must. You cannot put anything that is not valid element. It must be a valid element name. This one must be a ID. Each of the elements now, son. You cannot name your element like this. For example, this intro. I cannot do like this. Intro 2 hash 2 intro. All the wrong. But I can do hash intro 2. What is it supposed to mean? An ID name cannot start with a number. Write it down. An ID name cannot start with a number. Not just here, in almost all programming languages. Since it's a problem, we're going to go back at 1, Nkechi 2, Nkechi 3, Nkechi 4, Nkechi. But here I look Nkechi 1, Nkechi 2, Nkechi 3, Nkechi 4. Right? Yes. We're going to go 1, Nkechi 2, Nkechi 3, Nkechi 4, Nkechi 5, Nkechi 6, Nkechi. It doesn't make sense. But Nkechi 1, Nkechi 2, Nkechi 3, Nkechi 4, Nkechi 5, Nkechi 6. So in other words, you cannot name your ID, your ID name cannot start with what? A number. Rather, it can start with an alphabet, and you can add numbers to it, no problem. Also remember that your ID or in your naming, capital letter and small letters are not the same thing. Take note of these two important. I said your capital letter and your small letter are not the same thing. This intro 2 might be different from capital letter. Maybe capital letter intro 2. If you want to use small letter, use small letter. So in the intro 2 with small letter, in the capital letter, it will not work. Even if it works, one that is allowed. It's wrong. So let me leave it for this one, at least write this one at a glance. Declare your style elements. Declare your style elements. Instead of using inline. Declare your style elements, open and close. When you put down our body, tinye body, style, background color. Okay? You must just say inline. When I want to go inline, one age style as an attribute that imports. So you use an inline. At least same one will give. This is where you should not focus. So I will no longer tolerate inline styling in your script henceforth. I will no longer tolerate inline styling because I know you really don't inline. Now let's learn it the block way because this is the main way to do that. Yes, now that is not working. Read the HTML opening tag and present tag and your body. If your body hidden, that is number one. You must declare HTML opening and closing tag. Say your head, say your body. Then you may want to keep it sitting there. It's a must. That's why it's called structured language. Now, somebody told me that not trying this thing. Hashtag like VIV. Ever hash VIV. And then when I ask my email this VIV, now sometimes in my car number. Because ID is unique to what? One element. Now he tried it, and somehow the two of them respond. Well, what happened? Also, maybe hashtag VIV. So any element will VIV as its ID. We obey this, right? Yeah. Any element will VIV as ID. We do what? Obey this. And I also said that it will choose this and ignore this. You understand? But he tried it and the two of them obeyed this. What happened? Even though it might work that way, it is not what? Standard. We gamma because not as CSS or work. It works, but it is wrong. We are more than JavaScript, other programming language. I am more than you understand? You know, something I talked about browser clemency or stuff like that. Even the browser clemency is different. Browser clemency is everywhere error. You are correct, yeah? You understand? When we say this is a standard, you must follow what? Standard. You understand? I'm not talking, you're not paying attention, it was a question, it's your question I'm answering. The Bible said, I got a dinner mail, Kamarabala Yoba. I got a dinner mail, Kamarabala Yoba. Should we continue in sin for grace to abound? And the answer said what? Not forbid. In other words, now Marabalagoba does not mean again and me. You get my point? Now Marabalagoba does not mean me. You understand? Because one day you will choke. You will not say, hi, I would have did the right way. This is the right way. What you did is the wrong way. Even though it works for you, it's just grace. That does not mean it's the right way. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? So you don't do the wrong thing because it worked. Like say, since it is working, let me be doing it. Ije zuri na free. The man na guy. Ije zuko also na free. Full boss, man na free. Because he never did it wrong. You must do the right thing. So using those is just an illustration. You want to ask me a question? Okay. So let me allow you to practice this. Then tomorrow for our class. You close to your standard element. You close to your standard element. Simple of force here. Once there is a mistake in your element, once there is a mistake, so once there is an error, then there is a mistake in your code. I keep repeating it. Once there is an error, there is a mistake in your code. And I said, I just made for inline styling again. Why I introduced inline then? I want you to have a bit what CSS. I'm going to attribute and use that style. Okay, maybe what here. So now that I've moved to CSS full time, I don't want to see inline styling again, except where required. Except where what? Even where required, do it in CSS. Target here with an ID there, so that you know what ID is. You already know what is inline, so do it in the block part. So what happened? Is that your laptop there? That one that was there. What happened there? The church people are going to decide that is so the resource. People are the money to the shop. So maybe you are. One way to start. One of the start. One of the money. One of the shop. May I try it? May paragraph. If you remember a paragraph, you may use what I use. Você só essas ganas. the one to before. You can